Recently came across a Facebook page, MindsetMalta, which belongs to a friend of mine, Kenneth Attard. Hadn't connected for quite a while, and I reconnected with Kenneth and had quite a few long chats about mindset, which is something that all entrepreneurs have to have a grip on and have to have an idea on how to set themselves up for success. And we thought we'd be able to have a little bit of an interview, which we can show you here, and give back a little to the community and to the entrepreneurs who are possibly struggling. So without further ado, there's Kenneth Attard, Mindset Malta, mindset consultant. Kenneth, can you elaborate?
Yeah, so mindset, to me, this is essential for any entrepreneur, for anybody really. I focus mostly on entrepreneurs because it's something that I'm fascinated by. I've been an entrepreneur myself for 20 years plus, in one way or another, retail, sales, all kinds of stuff, and I've been delving in personal development for almost 20 years as well, in one way or another. So when it comes to mindset, so a lot of people ask, what is mindset? I like to keep things as simple as possible. See, a lot of people think that when it comes to mindset, it's something really, really complicated. It's not necessarily that complicated. So if I were to tell you what is mindset, for me it's this, is what are the predominant thoughts that I have throughout the day? So what is usually top of mind? Now, amazingly, for many, including entrepreneurs, top of mind are the things that are not going well. I have to take care.
We kind of think about the negative more than
Yeah, exactly. I need to take care of this. I have these bills to pay. What if this doesn't happen? What if this, what if this promise of sale doesn't go through? And all of these things that remain top of mind. Now, the interesting part about this is that what is predominantly top of mind for you and what you're constantly thinking about generally is going to have an effect on the results and the experiences that you're having in your life, in your business, in general. It doesn't matter, overall. So let's just make it really simple. The more I'm thinking of the bad things, the more I'm going to create and find myself in situations of more and more of these bad things.
So essentially what you're saying is that you're directing your focus in a negative manner. So if you're not careful, if your mindset is not correct, your focus is going to be incorrect too.
But what I'd like to make clear is this. Yes, I agree with you 100% there. The thing is this. I understand that you're human. I'm human. So we go in and out. And that's why I'm saying where it is predominantly. Doesn't mean that I never have what we call, let's say, a negative mind, negative thoughts, or a thought that doesn't make me feel good. I like to describe it that, even more so. Of course I do. I have them. What's significantly different nowadays is this, though, is how long I stay there. Because now I have the tools, I have awareness of how I can actually I can flip that very quickly and start to look at the things that are actually moving forward in my life.
And how do you flip that?
Oh, wow. Now you're going to start to get into how do I flip that? Yeah, well, there are tools. There are many different tools that one can use. And like anything else, it's practice. It's practice, and this is why it's so important to start to have an awareness of mindset. See, most people don't. Most people are going through their lives. I like to describe it like this. So if you imagine, when we were kids, we had these really bouncy rubber balls. So imagine you're in a room with one of these bouncy rubber balls, and you just throw, in a room of 4 walls and a ceiling and a floor, okay? And you just throw this ball is going to careen off one wall, move to the next one. You don't know where it's going. And amazingly, many people are living their lives like this because there's no direction. There's no awareness of actually how mindset works and how you can actually start to take some control. See, many are living, today's a good day. So even in the day of an entrepreneur, in the day of a real estate agent, today was a really good day because this happened, this. oh, today was a horrible day. And then this was, not a bad day. And today was a day, I really didn't feel like doing much. And all this stuff. Rather than starting to begin to understand and have an awareness of how mindset works, how you can shift that thinking so that you are actually creating your reality. You are creating the results, the experiences that you have. How do you start to shift that? One of the things that I like to use, and I tell anybody who is just starting out, and to use it forever, but starting out, and it's a really simple tip, is this. If you start your day simply by taking a few moments to list down 3 to 5 things that you could be appreciative of, that you could appreciate. Very simple. And these don't need to be huge things. They could be as simple as, I appreciate the pillow I slept on last night.
It's just about
right? We're in the middle of a heat wave. appreciate the air conditioner that you have in a room that helps you to be more comfortable. Appreciate, just appreciate the fact that you potentially can go walk to a fridge and open up and have something to drink, have something to eat. These things that many times are taken for granted, very much taken for granted. Now you might say, so what does that do? Well, what that does is it actually it sets the tone for the day. Because now I've decided that I'm going to start my day showing appreciation. So what this does is, and see, we talk, the normal person, like I'm something not normal, but the average person will talk about negative and positive. In actual fact, there is no negative and positive. What there are a slower frequency and a higher frequency. So what appreciation does is it raises your frequency. It raises your frequency. So the higher your frequency, the more you're going to be in line, in tune with, I'm going to call it your higher self. I like to call it the umami self. The reason I call it the umami self, for those people who don't know, in the food world, umami is that when you eat something, have you ever ate something and you just couldn't, it was so good. It was so good, it was almost indescribable. You had no words to describe it. It's that extra ingredient that just... So for me, the umami, and the actual definition of umami is the essence of deliciousness.
Okay.
So for me, the umami self, the true self, who you really are, is the essence of deliciousness of who you really are. So by appreciation, and this is why I'm just setting the tone here, by appreciation, you're actually raising your frequency, getting more in touch with who you really are. And very simply, who you really are is, when you really touch base with who you really are, there's nothing missing. There's no lack, there's no disease, everything is wonderful. So by raising your vibration with appreciation, you're tapping into that. You're getting closer to it. So I'm setting the tone for the day. Now, when we're doing that, I know this sounds like such a simple thing, but when we're doing that, what happens now is that we have an effect on the environment around us. So what do I mean by that? We start to have an effect on the people we meet, the people we bump into, the situations, the circumstances. Let me use a really simple example. How are we here today? How are you and I here today? We hadn't met for quite some time.
Yep.
We bumped into each other in a cafe. We had a little discussion, and it led to this. I didn't come searching for you. I didn't come running after you and saying, no, it was just a natural flow, and it just happened.
The fact that we were both in a good place, and
Yeah.
it was a pleasant conversation, so enjoyable to move forward and connect again.
Exactly. Versus when you meet those people. So, and this is really cool, and you just brought this up, because, this is not, as we're speaking here, this is not really scripted at all.
No.
We have an idea of what we're talking about, but it's really interesting, versus, recognize for yourself what is happening in your life. Okay, so when we're talking about mindset, essentially this. You see, for most estate agents, for most entrepreneurs, we're very much focused on achieving the results. very much focused on achieving the result. The thing is this, what a lot of entrepreneurs don't understand yet, and dare I say a lot of real estate agents, if we're going to speak in that context, is that the results that you're having, the experiences that you're having, are actually a byproduct of the way you are thinking. They're a byproduct. So, but so many people are focused on running after that result, not noticing that the results, the experiences you're having are actually a byproduct of the way you are thinking, which is tied in with your mindset, because what we said is mindset is what you have top of mind, what you're thinking. And that also is going to be tied in with your beliefs.
In fact, as a franchise owner, as a team leader, my primary scope is to keep the team happy and relaxed, because the concept is that if the more relaxed they are in doing their daily routines, the more success they're going to get, because people are going to be happier to meet with them and spend time with them. Similar to
it's absolutely, and this is one of the messages. This is so cool, because one of the messages that, and one of the things that intrigued me to start working with entrepreneurs is this, and I've heard it in many different spheres of the entrepreneur world, including estate agents. You know, how many times have I spoken to an estate agent who says it's a dog eat world out there, like it's hard, it's difficult, it's really challenging, and I get it.
That's the vibe they're giving out.
And not only that is the vibe that they're giving out, that's their belief. And whatever your belief is, you're right. I mean, Henry Ford had said this many years ago. You know, whether you think you can, or whether you think you can't, you're right. It's the exact truth. The thing is this. So if you've decided that, and this is important for anybody who wants to come into the real estate world, is if you're going to go in with the frame of mind that this is going to be difficult, this is going to be hard, I don't know if I can do this, and all these things, then you're actually just going to make it harder for yourself. But if you're going to come into it with the frame of mind that, you know what, I'm going to be open to learning about this, these new whatever I need to learn. I'm going to be open to learning about sales processes. I'm going to be open to learning about all the different facets of becoming a real estate agent, knowing that, you know what, I can be really good at this. I know that I can be extremely successful at this. It's going to make a huge difference. So, and I'm going to let people off the hook here. And why am I going to let entrepreneurs off the hook here? The reason that they think it's so difficult, that it's challenging, that it's hard, is because for the most part, that's what you have been taught. And it's one of the things that I want to change in the entrepreneur world, one of the reasons I wanted to work with entrepreneurs. Because you've been taught that if you're going to become an entrepreneur, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be hard. You need to make sacrifices. You need to struggle. You need to suffer. You need to be stressed out. You've been told this who knows how many times. Now, does this mean that you're not going to make any sacrifices, if you want to call it a sacrifice? I prefer not to use sacrifice, but are you going to, does this mean that you're never going to have a challenge in your business? Does this mean that there are not going to be times that appear to be suffering? No, you will have those. I'm not saying that you won't have those. The thing is this, when you do have those, essentially what is happening is that those are what we call growth spurts. So you went through a challenging moment, you can look at it as, oh wow, why did this happen? I'm not good enough, all these things that are going to make you, stifle you and keep you stuck. Or you can look at it and say, okay, what can I learn from this? What can I learn from this? What can I take from this so that next time I'll do things a little differently so it doesn't happen again?
It's also a lot to do with your perspective. If you're going to get into business, let's not get into real estate agent, because
Okay,
real
yeah.
estate agent has a support system, which is the franchise.
Yes.
And we take away all the pains. Like I said, my job is to remove all the pains so that they can flow moving forward and focus on the selling part. But let's say an entrepreneur opening his own company. Now, yes, there are difficulties. You have to have an auditor now, you
Yes.
have bank accounts, FIA, you name it. But if you're going to look at it from a negative aspect, they're going to be painful, stressful, and yes, you're going to suffer. But hey, you stepped into this with your eyes wide open. You know you're going to have to do these. If you're going to call them painful, if you're going to call it suffering, if you're going to let them stress you, then you shouldn't have stepped in the first place. If you want to be an entrepreneur, you need to know that these are tasks which you need to do, you need to handle, and no, they are not stressful, and no, they are not a big issue unless you make them a big issue.
Absolutely.
And then that's where mindset
And
comes
this
in.
is where it comes in. So it's about flipping it. So let's talk about flipping it again. So again, rather than look at things as, struggles, sacrifice, suffering, and all these things, what if you went into it and you decided that I'm going to have fun?
Yep.
Right? So we're sitting here, we're having a conversation, just enjoying the conversation. I'm not too concerned about what other people are thinking, right? So they can take on this information and say, you know what, maybe there's some valuable information here. Or they could say, you know what, Ken's talking a lot of crap. Let's use that. That doesn't matter nowadays, the way I understand things, that doesn't matter to me. I don't get lost in that. So a lot of people in business are worried about or concerned about what other people are potentially thinking about them and all these. So I decide I want to have fun with my business. I just really want to enjoy it. I want it to be fulfilling. I want it to be fulfilling for me. I want it to be fulfilling for my customers. All right? I want to have an impact. So in the nature of the business that I am in, when it comes to mindset consulting, I want to have an impact on others so that they can really enjoy their business and have all the fulfilling and maybe potentially have impact on other people themselves as well, to understand that they can have that. So that you can make it fun. And on top of that, what if you going about your business could be inspirational? So, for instance, with yourself, James, you've decided that you want to create certain content so that you can provide it for the people who are going to be watching this. That's going to potentially have an impact on people. It could be inspiring. So there could be one person who watches this and says, wow, I'm inspired by this. I really want to start looking into mindset and how this can really have an effect on my business. So looking at business from that aspect now, I've decided, okay, I want this to be fun. I want this to be flowing. So now what am I doing? By doing that, as you said, I'm changing my perspective. I'm changing my perspective. Now, as I'm changing my perspective, that affects, as we spoke before, just like appreciation, my frequency. Now it starts to affect everything around me. The people, the situations, the circumstances, all of that stuff, the environment around you begins to change. As you start to become, and we'll use the word positive, the more positive you do become, the more positive people you will meet. The more positive circumstances you will encounter. The more positive opportunities you will start to encounter. Because what you do is, you're like a magnet. You start to draw these to you. You don't even have to start going chasing after them. Now, how cool is that when you think about it? When it comes to, let's say, selling, for instance, and how many times we think, how many people we need to contact to finally make that, or, how many touches, which, that's part of the game. That's part of the game. At the same time, wouldn't it be cool if I could start to draw those people to me, so that now out of 10 phone calls I make, I actually have 3, 4 that are really, really positive ones, then rather than having to make 100 to have those 3. And that's what starts to shift.
Ken, on your Facebook page, I came across some triple U syndrome. Can you tell us more about that? Because even I'm pretty much unaware of that.
Curious about that. Yeah, I came up with this a little while ago, the triple U syndrome. And it's associated with mindset. And what I've discovered over the years when it comes to mindset, like I said, with mindset, one thing that's really, really interesting is this. It's all about, and like anything else, it's all about consistency. So what I've found over the years is this, and the triple U, the U is the letter U. And when it comes to mindset, the first U of the triple U syndrome is underrated. So for the most part, most people will underrate mindset. So what do I mean by this? Today, there is so much information available. When it comes to mindset, I mean, the information is readily available to anybody who wants it. I can have more information available to me today in one day than my grandparents could have had available to them in a lifetime. Right? In a lifetime. It's there. And for the most part, it's interesting. For the most part, most people have heard about mindset. They've heard about mindset. And they may have gotten intrigued by it. Yet, for some reason, they underrate it. So what does this mean? They get intrigued by it. Even someone watching this, for instance, they might say, oh, this is interesting. And they get intrigued by it. And they get intrigued by it for a day, for 2 days, maybe a week. And then what happens, it literally gets put, one day I'll get to it. Because right now I need to deal with this, I need to deal with all these tasks, I have to deal with all these things that are going on, and I understand. Some people will actually use the term, life is getting in the way, which is interesting. So it gets put to the side. Because it's underrated.
In layman's terms, the ability to understand that mindset is going to affect the quality of your life.
Exactly. This is why it gets underrated. They still don't have, and I'll get to this now, this is going to be part of it. So what happens is, have you ever, I don't know about you, but I know this has happened to me, bought a book and didn't read it, and just left it there on the shelf? And this is the exact same thing. See, the book is right there. I just need to pull the book off the shelf and start reading it. Same thing with mindset. People put it to the side, put it on the shelf, it's right there, they have all the information, but they just leave it there. So it's underrated. And they just leave it there. And the second U, which ties in with this as well, of the triple U syndrome, is it's underestimated. So on top of being underrated, which ties in with exactly what you were saying, it gets underestimated. So it's underestimated. People don't realize that mindset is going to have an effect on all the results and experiences you're having in your life. Whether it's your business, whether it's your relationships, whether it's your personal development, whether it's your health, all of those things are going to be affected by your mindset. But it gets underestimated. Now again, I'm going to let you off the hook. I'm going to let you off the hook, and I'm going to tell you why you underrate it, underestimate it. It's because your belief in it is still not strong enough. You just don't believe in it enough. Because if you knew, and dare I say this, that your mindset is your superpower, if you really knew what a difference it would make in your life, would you actually underrate it and underestimate it? Wouldn't you just pull that information, start to learn about it, be consistent about it? And that is why the third U of the triple U syndrome is you underutilize it. You just don't use it. You don't use it purposely because you have to use mindset. You have some sort of, you think in a certain way. You have to use it. You just don't use it purposely. With a purpose, intentionally understanding the process of what's going on. So if we were to talk about process, like I said, the results and the experiences are a byproduct of the way you're thinking. How you are thinking, essentially, is creating an emotion. So to make it really simple, the way you are thinking is either going to create a good feeling emotion or a bad feeling emotion, to make it really simple. Okay? That good feeling emotion or bad feeling emotion is going to have an effect on the actions or the behaviors that you take. So someone, is thinking, I'm feeling tired today. I'm not, and they're going to end up, sitting on the couch and not going to the gym to do their workouts. Versus someone thinking, I've made progress so far. I've been pretty consistent. That's making me feel really good. Now my action is going to be, pack my bag, off to the gym, whatever it is. And the result, what happens is the result is different.
I would suggest that the mortal enemy of the triple U syndrome would be the word but.
But.
Probably the word I hate most.
Well,
in English vocabulary.
well, yes, I would highly suggest that as much as possible people avoid the word but. See, the reason is, the minute you put but in, it not just excuses, it negates everything you said before. Okay, so if someone said to you, I love you, but all of a sudden it's like the but, like it's just negated everything that I've said before. I'm very successful, but whatever it is, it just negates everything completely. So with the triple U syndrome, because of this, again, the mindset gets underutilized, it's left there. What if today you made a decision and said, I want to start looking into this mindset and what it is. And this is the other thing as well. I want to make this really clear. It's not difficult. It's not rocket science. I wouldn't be doing it if it was. What it is, like anything else in your business, whatever it is, it's about learning and it's about consistency. So, we talked about appreciation in the beginning as a tip to start. It isn't about being appreciative one day. It's about being appreciative every day, being consistent with it every day. So just like anybody, like an entrepreneur, it's not about you arriving at your results now. It's about being consistent. And where does the fun come in? Where does the joy come in? Where does the fulfillment come in? The impact. And as much as a cliche as this is, it is the truth. It's about enjoying the whole journey. It's about enjoying the moments.
And when it comes to entrepreneurs, I think we are the people who need to have a good mindset from day one, because our businesses take a lot out of us because we put in a lot, because we are committed. It's not a 9 to 5. We are committed to our business. So everything else around us, our families, our friends, begin to suffer if we don't have the right mindset, and we just start to lose out everywhere else. We're gaining on one side, building one castle, knocking down another.
Well, absolutely. This starts to come into, comes into balance, and this is where many entrepreneurs go down a rabbit hole. And one of the things that I love to emphasize on is this. So most entrepreneurs will start their business, for the most part, because they want to be financially free. They have a really good idea or way of, they believe that they want to create a business and they want to present this to their market. And they want time freedom and time flexibility. Yet I've seen so many entrepreneurs go down a rabbit hole where they no longer have time for anything except their business. And not only that, it's not even within it becomes the 12-hour days, the 14-hour days, the 16-hour days become the norm. Now, I understand that there are going to be moments throughout your business where you may need to dedicate that 12 hours, that 14, without a doubt. Yet when it becomes the norm, now there potentially is a problem. Because like you said, you are building one thing, but while you're building this, you're destroying your relationships in your life. While you're building this, you're destroying your health. While you're building this, you have no time for anything else in your life. So you're not taking care of yourself. You're not enjoying what you love doing, other things that you love doing in your life as well. Is that really what you want? Is that joyful? Is that actually enjoying the whole process? Probably not. Some people will say, but I love my business and that's all I love. Well, that's fine. That's great. If that works for you, fantastic. But I can guarantee you down the road, at some point, someone will say, where did these 20 years go? I've built a business, but I have nothing else.
Yeah.
I have nothing else in my life. My relationships have been destroyed. My health isn't the greatest because I haven't been consistent enough with taking care of my health, have not been consistent enough with taking care of my relationships, have not been consistent enough with taking care of all the other things there are to enjoy in your life.
Interestingly, like I said, Fiona and I were just in Sicily for a few days resting. But while we were there, we did talk shop.
Yeah.
And on the phone with my son Sean and Carl, we had conversations about work. And Fiona and I were laughing because it's really no big deal, because our approach to it, our mindset, is in a positive manner. So we didn't talk about problems. We were finding solutions and happily doing so. So the mindset was, it's not a chore, it's not a big task. Sure, we're relaxed, we're having fun. We're also talking about our work, our environment, we are all entrepreneurs. But we were doing it from a positive point of view, because our mindset is positive.
Yeah.
So we're not looking at our business as something that's about to break or collapse. And our businesses have problems like everybody else's.
Yeah.
But we're looking at them in a positive manner. How can we make them better? Which is fun. This would work. Our staff, our people would enjoy this. And even issues which came to us while we were away were handled in a positive manner. We were on holiday, we were relaxed, and the mindset was so perfect because we are relaxed that the issues were not issues at all. They were very easily moved forward. And we were actually having a giggle about it because here we are on holiday and we're still working,
Yeah.
so to speak. But hey, it's fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is going to lead us into something that is really vitally important, I believe. So, taking that time off, absolutely vital.
Yeah.
And when it comes to mindset, what's really interesting is this. And again, it's how, for the most part, entrepreneurs are taught. Okay? And this is why, again, I will let you off the hook. I will let whoever's listening off the hook if this is the case with you. Is, you see, if you attend any entrepreneurial event, for the most part, if you the books you read, the stuff you learn, you are going to hear very often about how important it is for you to take massive action. You need to take action. You need to be going, you need to be taking action. I'm not about to deny that. You absolutely do need to take action, without a doubt. Yet because most entrepreneurs have been taught, like I've heard some people say, you know what, you can't have any white space in your calendar. You have to have, one thing after the other. There has to be, and I get it, and there will be times when your calendar will be full, and you will be going full speed ahead, if you like to call that. Yet what I've discovered over the years is it's not about just taking action. It's about taking inspired action. I already alluded to this a tiny bit before as we were speaking, but let me make this really clear. Where does the inspired action come from? One of the first things that I have to tell an entrepreneur when I'm working with them is you need to stop. And they're like, what do you mean stop? Because if I stop, someone else is going to take something away from me. All right? They're going to take that piece of the pie, and I'm going to miss out on this, and I'm going to miss out on this. And the reason you need to stop is because if you're constantly going, all right? Which means you're constantly thinking, you're not allowing space for inspiration to come to you. Because for inspiration to happen, you need to slow yourself down. You need to slow yourself down so that you're not thinking as much. Potentially not thinking at all. That's why I like to talk about quiet time. Some people call it meditation. But just quiet time. So even notice for yourself, I can guarantee you there's a number of listeners here. Probably some of the best solutions that they found Some of the best ideas came to them when they were in the shower, on the toilet, right? Why? Because you actually slowed yourself down enough. You were just enjoying that shower that you weren't going thinking, and all of a sudden, an idea popped into your head or a solution popped into your head because you left enough space for that to happen. Now that happened by chance. What if you could do that on purpose? And this is why I tell you, you gotta slow down, you gotta stop. You thinking that someone is gonna take a piece of the pie from you is coming from a lack mindset, as if there's not enough for everybody. But when you come from an abundance mindset, when you look at the proverbial pie of abundance, if you take a slice of pie, you take a slice of abundance from the proverbial pie of abundance, you're still left with abundance. No one took anything away from you. There's enough. There's more. So when you slow yourself down enough, and all of a sudden, and think about it, sometimes a person's name pops into your head. Why do you think that happened? For me, for the most part, when that happens to me now, I tend to contact them. Maybe send them a quick message. And they're like, wow, you contacted me at the right time because I was just thinking about this or this. I had this idea, let's get together, whatever. Again, that's inspiration. You act upon inspiration. And when you act upon inspiration, when you take inspired action, it's not forced. It's flowing. It's flowing, just like I mentioned, when how we ended up here today. It was just flowing. It's how one thing led to another. A message here, a message there. Like I said, we bumped into each other, a message here, there, okay, and we're here today. It just happened. It just happened naturally. And when things happen naturally, and even if you look at we're talking to people who are as business owners, as real estate agents, notice how some of the best sales you've probably made were really easy. Were really easy. There wasn't a hassle, there wasn't a lot of haggling, there wasn't a lot of things that came up and all this. And then the ones that were really forced, for the most part, a lot of times will actually fall through. They won't happen because it's so forced. And you end up saying, oh man, I just wasted so much time on that. Well, when you start to understand more about mindset, you also start to understand where you let things go. And you go, you know what? This really isn't flowing. This is really becoming forced. I'm just going to let this thing go because it's going to take up a ton of my time for nothing. For nothing. And if it's meant to happen, the chances are it'll probably come back to you when you let it go, because now you're not holding on too tight to it. How many people in sales, and I've been there, trust me, I've been there, where I felt so desperate that I wanted to make the sale that it was coming from desperation. So desperation, if we're going to talk about frequency, is a much lower vibration. So if I'm coming from a place of desperation, I'm going to meet people who are desperate. I'm going to meet people who are going to be difficult, who are going to be, and cause all of these things.
And you connect with those.
And you start connecting with those people, and you start going, but why is this happening to me? Why do I keep meeting? And it becomes a recurrence. So this is why it's important for yourself to look at the results you're getting right now, the experiences you're having right now, and you go, things are flowing right now. That's really good. Okay, good. But you know what? Wow, you know what? Yeah, you know what? The last couple of people I've met, they were all really difficult. They all caused a lot of problems. Right? So the tendency for a lot of people is to look outward and blame those people. When you become more aware, you start to look at yourself more. When you start to become more aware you start to look at yourself more, and you start to say, okay, how am I making this happen? What was my part in this? Am I coming from a place of desperation? Am I coming a place from my business is difficult? You know what? Am I coming from a place of the economy is like this or the economy is like that? Right? Because when I start to blame other people, other circumstances, other situations, that's a very easy thing to do. And when you start to blame, I don't need to be accountable to myself. Because now I can say, it's the economy's fault. It's that person's fault. It's my boss's fault. It's my wife's fault. It's my husband's fault. It's all of these things. Now I don't have to be accountable to myself.
I tell my team that sometimes I get an agent coming up to me and he's saying, I keep getting these objections, or I can't close. And then I ask, what sort of objections are you getting? And the reality is, yeah, the objections are being created by that agent. A different agent showing the same properties will get a totally different set of objections, because the mindset of that agent and his presentation or her presentation is generating those objections, and he can't overcome them because he actually believes them.
Absolutely. If you have a belief in that,
close the sale.
absolutely. That's how, and that person will be exactly aligned with you, because if you're thinking that, they're going to think that. Now, and this is a matter of, again, understanding, awareness. Once you have the awareness, or once you start to create an awareness, what is awareness? In fact, awareness is the first pillar in my ARC method. Awareness is all about learning. Because right now, someone listening here, maybe they've never heard, maybe they just didn't know.
Yeah.
Right? So, if no one has taught you that this color is blue, but someone, this is the amazing part though, a lot of people have been taught differently. If someone taught you that this was red, and you believe that it's red, because that's how you've been taught, you're going to believe it's red, and you keep on saying it's red, until someone makes you aware and says, wait a second, there's a different perspective. That actually isn't red. That is actually blue. Oh, I can look at it from a different angle now. Oh, I see. And now you're starting to create awareness, and you're starting to learn. You're starting to learn. And as you start to learn now, you're creating that awareness, and you go, oh, okay, so my thoughts are going to have an effect on the results and the experiences I'm having. And then you start to, and now, okay, so let me be consistent. Let me start to look at this, and let me start to learn about this, and let me start to learn about this. And you're creating that consistency. So the awareness is all about the learning process. And you're going to go through different stages. Just like, for those of you who had to learn how to drive a standard car, okay, there was, when you're just starting out, or even an automatic car, when you're just starting out, there's a lot of things you need to think about, right? Or where I'm supposed to keep my hands on this thing, where the mirrors are supposed to be. And as you're starting out, and I got to press on the gas, and I can only use one foot on automatic. But if I have a standard, I have to press on the clutch, and all these things. And at first, at that stage, you're thinking about all of those things. As you're more consistent with your learning, those things just become automatic then. You just automatically wake up in the morning and go, wow, it's another day. I appreciate the fact that I have another day, another opportunity to be a better version of myself, whatever it is. And you just automatically appreciate. You're going about your day, and you just automatically appreciate. Maybe, and even the way you are interacting with people. You start to become more aware of how you are interacting. How many times do I hear people at the workplace say something to the effect of, I don't feel appreciated at the workplace. I don't feel that the people there appreciate me enough. And what I say to that is, that potentially could be possible. Yet I say to them, so let's do something. This week, you start to be the one who appreciates others. And let's see what happens. Because many times, we have to start with ourselves. Again, it comes back to us.
What goes around comes around.
Yeah, exactly. So let me be the one who starts to appreciate, and let's see what happens. And again, this is how the awareness starts to build, and you're consistent. You do this, and you keep going, and you keep going. So it is, and I can't reiterate as much as I can how important it is to start creating that awareness of mindset and understanding what the process is, how it works, how you are essentially creating the results, the experiences in your life. It's so vital. I can't emphasize how important it is.
And that is the first of the
The arc, that is the first pillar of the arc method. The second pillar is adapting. So I chose arc, so to make this, so that people understand. There's a program called the Inside Lane. I call it the Inside Lane because there's two reasons. It's a bit of play on words. The inside lane is because there's a lot of inside work that has to go on. Like I said, it's all about you.
Yeah.
It's not about everything outside of you. It's about you. So you got to go inside. And if we were on a racetrack, any type of racetrack, an athletic track, the inside lane, if you had a choice between the inside lane and the outside lane, you'd probably choose the inside lane because it's the shortest route. Also, what I like to say as well is that, and I like to make this really clear, it doesn't matter what lane you are on. They all end up. The finish line is it's the same place. You will get there. But the outside lane will take a little longer. It will involve a little more suffering. It will involve a little more struggling. It will involve a little more challenges. The inside lane tends to be a little more comfortable, a little more easier going. So that's why I chose the name the inside lane. Within the inside lane, I use what I call the ARC method. We mentioned the first pillar of, and it's based on 5 pillars. And the first pillar is awareness. The second pillar is adapting. And I chose ARC because ARC is one of the strongest foundations in architecture. So the ARC method is a very strong foundation when it comes to mindset, the way you think, and how you can actually move forward with that. The second pillar is adapting, which is all about change. And whether you like it or not, change, essentially, is the only constant. Change is happening. I mean, look what's changed in the last couple of years. Immense changes. Change is always happening. And what is important to learn about change is this, is that the more you resist it, the more difficult you're going to make it for yourself. The more you embrace it, the easier it is going to be for yourself. Does that mean you change everything? I would never tell someone to absolutely, if they have certain values that they believe in and they want to abide by those values, absolutely abide by those values. But always be open to looking at different perspectives, understanding other people, understanding the way people do. So being open to change is going to make your life a lot easier. The third pillar is alignment. And again, we've already touched upon this when it comes to alignment is where inspiration happens. And alignment is aligning with something which is much bigger than you. Now, there are various names for this energy that is bigger than you. Some people will call it God. Some people will call it source. Some people will call it source energy. Some people will call it the field, the quantum field. You can call it Bob. You can call it Bill. You can call it Jane. It doesn't matter what you call it. I call it the umami self. You can call it, that's a name. And sometimes people, because of the name, because of past experiences, they're already putting a meaning on it. So eliminate, don't worry about the name. Let's just say there's something bigger than you that you can tap into, where everything you want already is. So all the sales that you want, all the relationships you want, the health you want, it's all there waiting for you. You just need to start to draw it closer to you. Tapping into it. So it's about alignment and learning how to do that. One of the things to do that is quiet time, as we had spoken about. Quiet time, taking the time, stopping, appreciating, understand, even during your day. What if during a very hectic day, because it happens, sometimes we get lost in all the tasks and all this stuff. What if during a hectic day, you took 1 minute? You took 1 minute out of your time, and you just stopped for a minute, and took a minute to appreciate whatever it is you want to. I don't care what it's, something that makes you feel good. Just take a minute. All of a sudden now, everything changes. That's why it's so wonderful, like sometimes in the workplace, sometimes pets, and sometimes like that. When you're petting a dog or a cat, usually you're just lost in that world for that moment. You're not thinking about anything else. That's being in the present moment. So that's part of alignment, and you learn more about that alignment and how important that is. That holds everything together. It keeps all the pillars together that I'm talking about. The fourth pillar is about applying. So it's about taking the action, but it's about taking the inspired action which goes hand in hand with the alignment. It's not just about taking the action, but it's important to take that action. So you have an idea, you have inspiration, you have a solution, you act upon that. A name pops into your head, you act upon that. Give them a phone call, just to say hello, see what's up. There's a reason why that happened when you are in alignment. And understanding that, and you taking that inspired action, that applying that. Because yes, you will have to take action. Like, we can talk here all day. We can talk here all day about all of these things about mindset and all of this stuff. But if the person here listening or whatever takes no action towards learning a little more, whatever it may be, whatever it is, nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to happen, right? And then the fifth pillar of the ARC method is allowing. And allowing is all about trust. And I'll be honest with you, trust is a big one, is a really big one. And it has been for me in my life, without a doubt. And it's not about trust only with other people. Because a lot of people with trust, they go to other people and trusting other people, which is an important one too. But it's more about trusting yourself. How many times as a business owner have you doubted your capabilities? And said, am I really good enough for this business? Can I really make it? How many times, before I really started to get my message out, how many times did I doubt myself? Do I really have a strong enough message to get out there? Is the information I have available good enough? Am I good enough? And all of these things. And notice it, that when we start to doubt, when we start not to trust ourselves, it stifles us. It keeps us stuck. It will keep you stuck. If you're doubting yourself, if you're doubting whether you can close a sale or not, you're keeping yourself completely stuck. And I like to tell people, flip it. What if you say, what if this is not a good idea? So maybe I'm not going to talk to my boss and tell him about what this idea is because I'm not sure if it's a good idea or not. What if it was the best idea ever? I don't know if I should contact this person. What if that could be the best idea ever to actually contact that person? I don't know. So it's starting to learn how to trust yourself. And not only trust yourself then. So we talked about alignment and aligning with something that's much bigger than you. What if you really knew? We're going to throw this out there now. What if you knew 100% that everything was always working out for you? Even when it appeared not to be. You see, a lot of people get lost in, and this is when it comes to mindset as well, their focus. They're focusing on what's happening in their life right now, which potentially is not the greatest thing. So I lost that sale, that promise of sale didn't go through, this person was not kind to me, this person was mean to me, and looking at all these things, I don't have enough money, I'm not making enough money, and looking at all these things. And I understand, they appear not to be good. They appear to be your reality right now. But those challenges that are coming up, if you knew for certain that those were actually for your benefit, that they were going to make you a better person, a stronger person, that you potentially were going to learn some important lessons that you need to learn right now at this stage in your life right now, if you trusted that 100%, if you trusted that everything is working out perfectly, you see, because you can't see the whole picture. Sometimes you just can't. So, you're living on the first floor, and someone else is living on the 30th floor, and you're about to leave home, and you're going to take the usual route you take, and the guy on the 30th floor is saying, "Hey, James, don't take that route today. There's a traffic jam. Take this route today, because even though it's longer, you're going to get there much quicker." And you're like, "What are you talking about? I always take this route." But you can't see everything. You do not have that perspective. So when we can trust in what's happening and trust and learn to align with something that's much bigger than us, and trusting that, now I know that everything is always working out for me, even when sometimes it appears not to be. When that happens now, I really don't have anything to worry about, when I truly can trust. Now, does this happen overnight? It comes back to consistency, it comes back to practice. And recognize, use some of the evidence in your life so far. Are there times in your life when you can actually say, "Wow, a good thing that happened, because that happened, then this happened, and it led me to where I am now." But at the time, it seemed like a horrible thing, right? It seemed like, let's use a really simple example, for instance, if we go back, even at school, right? And, at one point in time, we think, O levels are the be all and end all. We think they're the be, and, we didn't pass from this O level, we thought our life was going to be destroyed. But it wasn't. It didn't. Then the A levels were the next thing. Oh my God, if I don't, my life is going to be destroyed. And if it didn't happen, you realize now your life was not destroyed. It only appeared at that time that it was going to be a big thing or whatever. But all of those lessons, and I say this to every single person listening here, where you are right now is exactly where you're meant to be. Trust that. Trust that you've been learning lessons along the journey. The journey is what's most important. The journey is what's most important. It's not about arriving. You're never going to arrive where you say you want to arrive. And I'll tell you why. Because there's always going to be more. And that's okay, and that's a natural process. So enjoy now, where you are now, and if you can get your point to a point where you're actually enjoying it so much, that it's going to lead to the next thing that's going to be joyful, which will lead to the next thing that's going to be joyful. And now all of a sudden, you're just creating a completely joyful process. Trusting is really huge, and like I said, it takes time. It's a process, and this is where, and now that's the interesting thing with all of these pillars. So all the 5 pillars, it's great to talk about them on their own. Wonderful. Yet the power of them is how they work synergistically. Because when they're combined together, synergistically, it just takes you to a whole new level. Entirely in your whole life. So whether it's your business, like I said, whether it's your relationships, your health, you can apply them. You can apply all these pillars in any area of your life, and it will be effective. So when they work together as all together synergistically, is really, really powerful.
So to wrap up, what we've been saying throughout is mindset is life itself. Learning how to master your mindset is going to bring you more or plenty of what you desire. So if it's more money, that is what you'll be attracted. That is what you'll be. Your mindset will be bringing that to you. If it's more love, more happiness, more caring, whatever it is you want more of, your mindset is going to direct your focus on how to live life in that manner. But it takes knowledge and understanding to be able to master that mindset, because generally the average person will have the but. Yes, but I'm busy right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
that's it.
But, and stop there and continue taking the crap because they don't know how to change or adapt their mindset to have a better life. And I think what your business is all about and what your teachings are all about is being able to, because it's something we have to do to ourselves. You can guide me to understand and make the changes and not be afraid of the change, but at the end of the day it has to be me in my mind that changes my mindset.
Always comes back to the individual. Always comes to the individual that wants it. So I'll have someone who wants to work with me. For instance, they say they want to work with me, but then they don't touch base, or they don't do the work that they're told to do. Well, you actually, and then this is about, walking your talk. If you actually do want something, it always comes back. And if there's one thing that you can take away from today, is it always comes back to you. You are accountable for yourself. It's not about everything that's happening outside of you. It's you looking at yourself and saying, okay, what is it? And as simple as a question as this is, for a lot of people, it just, all of a sudden, they're not sure how to answer. What do you want? What do you truly want for your life? And then we start to break it down. What do you want for your business? What do you want for your relationship? What do you want? But it ultimately comes back to you. What do you want?
And for people who ask and pose the question to themselves, it's not just one thing. We don't all just want more of this, or it is a spectrum. It is a lifestyle. I think people will understand more. Lifestyle is what people relate to. How you live your life, how much happiness you have, how many good moments you have, how people react to you. Do you get respect? Do you get friendship? Do you get love? And all this is mindset. It's what you're giving out is what's going to come back to you. And you don't want just one thing. You don't want more respect. You want more of everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you need to really understand that to be able to start the journey of understand how to set your mindset in the correct path so that your life becomes better.
And the interesting part as well is this, and it's absolutely, I agree with you 100%. And you will come to a point when you will come to a point where you will feel so comfortable that you will come to a point where now you no longer rely on anybody outside of you to give you that happiness, to give you that joy. Because you've been accountable to yourself, you trust yourself, and now you're so comfortable with yourself that now you no longer rely, and you no longer rely on anybody else, and that's a very heavy weight lifted off anybody's shoulders.